Peppa Pig and the Great Race. It's a beautiful sunny day, and Daddy Pig has something special planned for Mummy Pig, Peppa Pig and George.
Hooray!
It's a surprise, says Daddy Pig, but we'll have to race to the fairground. We can't be late. Daddy Pig knows the fastest way to get there is by car. Everyone piles into the family car. Let's go, says Peppa. The car starts to drive, but then the car stops.
Oh no!
Oh no, says Mummy Pig. Something is wrong. We'll have to find another way to go. Let's ride our bikes, says Peppa. Everyone finds a helmet and gets on a bike. Let's go, says Daddy Pig. Biking uphill is hard and very slow. Peppa likes riding downhill. Whee! Look, there's Miss Rabbit in her fire engine, says Peppa. Can you help us? We're racing to get to the fairground. Sorry, Peppa, calls Miss Rabbit. We're on a turtle rescue mission. Mummy Pig sees something coming near. It's Grandpa Pig's train.
Hooray!
Grandpa Pig stops the train. All aboard, he calls. The train pulls into the station. This is as far as we can go, says Grandpa Pig. Daddy, how will we get to the fairground? asked Peppa. Daddy Pig looked around. A digger, an ambulance, the ice cream truck. Ugh, says George. Maybe we can take the bus, says Peppa. The bus is full.
Oh no!
Sorry, says Miss Rabbit. But you can borrow my plane. Mummy Pig, Daddy Pig, Peppa and George climb into Miss Rabbit's plane.
Wow!
Away we go, shouts Peppa. Mummy Pig lands the plane at the airport.
Hooray!
How will we get to Daddy's surprise? asked Peppa. We'll have to run, says Daddy Pig. They run. And then Peppa sees it.
Wow!
Oh, Daddy, she says. A hot air balloon. Loon, says George. It was a great race, and a balloon ride is the best surprise. The end. Peppa Pig, George's new dinosaur. George's favourite toy is Mr. Dinosaur. George likes bouncing Mr. Dinosaur in the garden, playing with him at bath time, and he loves going to sleep with Mr. Dinosaur beside him. At bedtime, Peppa says, George, I think Mr. Dinosaur is broken. George is very upset. Mummy and Daddy Pig come in to see why George is crying. Cries George. Poor George, says Daddy Pig. Maybe it's time we got you a new dinosaur. The next day, Peppa, George, Mammy and Daddy Pig visit Mr. Fox's shop. I'm sure we'll find a lovely dinosaur here, George, says Mammy Pig. Look, George, says Daddy Pig, pointing to the shop window. There's a big one.
Oh, dinosaur,
says George. Good morning, beams Mr. Fox. Can I help you? We'd like to buy the dinosaur in the window, please, says Daddy Pig. Good choice, says Mr. Fox. This is Dino Raw. He walks, he talks, and he sings. Wow, says everyone.
Dino Roar,
says George excitedly. We'll take it, says Daddy Pig. George is playing with Dino Roar in the garden. Dino Roar sings, Dino Roar, listen to Dino Roar, roar! Careful, George, says Daddy Pig. Don't play too roughly because Dino Roar will get broken. George wants to play with Dino Roar in the bath.
Dino Roar,
says George. But Mammy Pig says, George, if you get Dino Roar wet, he'll stop working. Peppa and George are asleep in bed, but suddenly Dino Roar comes to life. Roar! Dino Roar! Dino Roar! George, says Peppa,
Dino Roar has woken me up.
Maybe Dino Roar should sleep somewhere else, says Daddy Pig, taking Dino Roar away. George is feeling sad. He cannot play with Dino Roar in the garden, or the bath, or even in bed. Never mind, George, says Mummy Pig brightly. Dino Roar can still roar. Dino Roar, listen to Dino Roar. Oh. Dino Roar stops walking and talking completely. I think the batteries must have run out, says Mummy Pig. Already? How many are there? Grumbles Daddy Pig as batteries pour out of Dino Roar.
Hundreds and thousands,
cries Peppa as she picks him up. Peppa spots something green under a bush. What's this? Says Peppa. Is it a trumpet? You found Mr. Dinosaur's tail, says Mummy Pig. Now Daddy Pig can mend him. He might be a bit difficult to mend, says Daddy Pig doubtfully. But the tail slips perfectly into place. Daddy Pig has mended Mr. Dinosaur. Ho, 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 chuckles Daddy Pig. Hello, Mr. Dinosaur, says Peppa. Arr, replies George. Everybody laughs. Mr. Dinosaur is George's favourite toy in the whole world. The end. George's woolly hat. Peppa and George are spending the day at Granny and Grandpa Pig's house.
Hooray!
George is wearing a new woolly hat.
Wow!
Don't get your new hat muddy, George, says Mummy Pig. We promise not to get George's hat muddy, says Grandpa Pig. Peppa and George are playing in the garden. It is a very windy day. Hold on to your hat, says Peppa. Wah! Cries George as his hat sails up into the sky. Catch it, George, shouts Peppa. George chases his woolly hat right through the mud. George, you are all muddy, cries Peppa. But George's hat is still clean. the wind blows his woolly hat across the garden. Oh no! George's woolly hat is caught in a tree.
I'll get it down for you,
says Peppa. Grandpa Pig and George watch as Peppa climbs up the tree.
Perhaps I should help,
says Grandpa Pig. Oops! Cries Peppa. Poor Peppa has fallen from the tree and landed in the mud.
I see two little piggies who need a bath,
says Grandpa Pig. Next time, George's hat blows onto some reeds in the pond.
Luckily, your hat is still clean, George,
says Grandpa Pig. He grabs a stick and reaches across the pond.
Don't fall in,
says Peppa.
I know what I'm doing, Peppa,
replies Grandpa Pig. Splash! Grandpa Pig falls into the pond.
That was a silly thing to do,
says Granny Pig.
We were trying to get George's hat back, Granny,
says Peppa.
Where is George's woolly hat now?
asks Granny Pig. Granny Pig spots the hat.
Hooray!
It has landed on a spade, on a pile of stinky manure.
If you walk on that manure, you'll sink,
warns Grandpa Pig.
Hush, Grandpa Pig. I have no intention of sinking,
says Granny Pig, laughing. Carefully, Granny Pig climbs over the manure until she reaches the woolly hat.
Got it,
she cheers, but then Granny Pig falls over and lands in the heap of stinky manure.
Ooh, smelly, Granny,
says Peppa. Grandpa Pig, Peppa and George start to giggle. Mummy Pig arrives to collect Peppa and George.
You promised not to let the children get muddy,
cries Mummy Pig.
Yeah, actually, we promised not to let George's hat get muddy,
says Grandpa Pig.
George's hat is the only clean thing,
says Mummy Pig. The end. Peppa Pig Numbers. Peppa and her friends are at playgroup.
Today we will be learning all about numbers,
says Madame Gazelle.
Does anybody know what numbers are used for? We use numbers to count,
says Peppa.
That's very good, Peppa,
says Madame Gazelle.
Numbers are used for counting. Now, who would like to try some counting?
Pedro Pony counts to 4. Rebecca Rabbit counts all the way to 7.
Excellent, Pedro and Rebecca. After 7 comes 8, 9 and 10,
says Madame Gazelle.
Wow!
It is playtime. Rebecca, Zoe Zebra, Susie Sheep and Peppa all like to skip.
I like sand, I like sea, I like Susie to skip with me,
sings Peppa.
I like pink, I like pong, I like Zoe to skip along,
sings Susie.
Let's see who can skip the longest without stopping,
says Zoe.
I'll count,
says Rebecca.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Peppa is out. 6, 7, 8. Susie is out. 9, 10. Zoe is the winner.
Hooray!
Pedro is hula hooping.
I can do 1,003 hula hoops without stopping, says Pedro.
Wow.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He has stopped hula hooping. I'm a bit tired, says Pedro. I'll do the rest later. Emily Elephant has a special way of hula hooping. She hula hoops with her trunk. The hoop spins round and round and round. It is too fast to count. I think that was about 100, says Susie. George wants to play leapfrog. Leapfrog, everybody, cries Peppa. Richard Rabbit, Edmund Elephant, Susie Rebecca, Peppa Emily, Candy Cat, Danny Dog, Zoe and Pedro line up. There are 10 children for George to jump over. George begins to jump and everyone counts along. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. George has jumped over everyone.
Hooray!
George is very good at playing leapfrog. Now playtime is over and the children must return to the classroom. Daddy Pig has come to collect Peppa and George. He is very early, but Madame Gazelle doesn't mind. Don't worry, you can join in our game, she says. Richard and Edmund, please get the extra long skipping rope. Is everybody ready? Let's count to 10, says Madame Gazelle. 1, Daddy Pig is skipping. 2, now Peppa is skipping too. 3, Susie joins them. Madame Gazelle plays her guitar as the children join in one by one. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Count Daddy Pig and the children. It is much easier to count to 10 if you are playing a game at the same time. The end. Peppa Pig. Peppa. This is Peppa Pig. She lives with her mummy and daddy. And her little brother George. Peppa and her family have a red car.
Wow.
Where are we going today? Asked Peppa. Peppa loves going to Digger World with her family. It's fun when we all play together, says Peppa. Sometimes Peppa visits Granny and Grandpa Pig. They are part of her family too. Can we stay for tea? Asked Peppa. There are lots more members in Peppa's family. Baby Alexander is the youngest. Everyone in Peppa's family is different, but there is only one thing that they all like to do. Jump in muddy puddles. Peppa loves her family. Everyone loves Peppa. The end. Peppa Pig, Peppa's Family. Peppa's family loves different things.
Have some tea, dollies. Peppa loves her doll's house. George loves Mr. Dinosaur.
Roar, dinosaur.
Mummy Pig loves her computer. Daddy Pig loves his car. Let's go for a drive. Granny Pig loves her parrot. Pretty Polly. Grandpa Pig loves his wheelbarrow. Time to dig up some carrots. Time to dig up the carrots. Peppa and Grandpa Pig love making vegetables grow. The end.
Hi kids, did you have fun watching this video? Then like and subscribe for more.
Peppa goes to hospital.
Today, we are going to visit Pedro Pony in hospital, Madame Gazelle tells the class. Pedro's leg is broken, and the doctors are mending it. Peppa has never been to the hospital before.
Except when I was born, of course, Peppa says. I'm wearing my nurse's outfit,
Susie Sheep says.
because hospitals are very serious.
But when the class arrives on the children's ward, the walls are full of colour.
Ooh,
They all say as they set off to find Pedro. Pedro is in bed with his leg in a plaster cast.
does it hurt?
Zoe Zebra asks.
It did at first,
Pedro says.
but not anymore. Do you want to draw on it? What's it like being in hospital?
asks Peppa.
It's great.
Replies Pedro.
Nurse gives me stickers and comes whenever I press this button.
Another nurse comes over with a trolley. Lunchtime, she says.
Spaghetti and sponge pudding, please,
Says Pedro.
Wow, you get to eat in bed.
Gasps Peppa. Dr. Brown Bear visits Pedro. You're nearly better and ready to go home. The bell rings. Visiting time has ended.
Get well soon,
Wave the children. A few days later, Pedro is back.
Where is your plaster cast?
Ask his friends.
My leg is all better. It's a super leg now.
Pedro says.
Thank you for visiting me in hospital.
The end.
Peppa goes apple picking. It is a lovely sunny morning. Mummy and Daddy Pig have a surprise for Peppa and George. Today is a perfect day for apple picking, says Daddy Pig. We'll use the apples to make a pie for Granny Pig and Grandpa Pig, says Mummy Pig. Hooray! Peppa and George cheer. They love apples, and they especially love pie.
Peppa and her family arrive at the orchard, but the apples are very high up in the trees.
How will we reach them?
Asked Peppa. Ho ho, says Daddy Pig. I have a trick for picking those apples. On the count of 3, shake the tree, says Daddy Pig. Peppa and her family hold on to the tree trunk. 1, 2, 3, they shout. Shake, shake, shake! The apples come falling down. Soon Peppa's and George's baskets are full. Hooray! Cheer Peppa and George.
Daddy Pig, your trick worked.
I am a bit of an expert at apple picking, says Daddy Pig.
Do we have enough apples now for Granny and Grandpa's special pie?
Asked Peppa. Almost, says Daddy Pig. We just need a few more from the trees at the very top of the hill. Those apples are the juiciest.
Are you sure, Daddy Pig?
Asked Mummy. I think we have plenty of apples now. But Daddy Pig is sure. He leads them up this hill. Peppa and her family shake the tree. But the apples don't fall off. Says Daddy Pig. Maybe if we shake it a bit harder. Shake, shake, shake. The apples still don't fall off.
What do we do now?
Asked Peppa. There is only one way to reach those apples, says Daddy Pig, and that is to climb.
Do be careful, Daddy Pig,
says Mummy Pig. Daddy Pig climbs to the very top of the tree. He climbs out to the furthest branch to get the juiciest looking apple. Daddy Pig almost reaches the apples when, whoa! The branch bends and Daddy Pig falls. Sploosh! Oh dear, Daddy Pig has fallen into a big muddy puddle and splashed everyone with mud.
Are you okay, Daddy Pig?
Asked Peppa. Yes, shouts Daddy Pig. And I reached the juiciest apple. Back at home, Mummy Pig takes all the apples to the kitchen. It's time to make the pie, she says.
Oh, goody,
says Peppa. Says George. First, Mummy Pig makes the pie crust. Then they make the apple pie filling. Peppa and George help with the stirring. They use sugar, eggs, cinnamon, and most important ingredient of all,
the apples,
shouts Peppa and George. Soon the apple pie is fresh out of the oven. Says Daddy Pig. It smells yummy. Can we eat it?
Not yet,
says Mummy Pig.
we have to bring it to Granny and Grandpa's first.
Peppa and her family drive to Granny and Grandpa Pig's house.
Hello, my little ones,
says Granny Pig.
What's all this? Surprise!
Cries Peppa.
We made you an apple pie. It's delicious,
says Granny.
How did you make it so yummy? Daddy picked the apples from the very top of the tree,
says Peppa,
and got us all muddy.
But it was worth it, snorts Daddy Pig. What a fun day of apple picking it has been. The end.
Peppa Pig, When I Grow Up. Today in school, Madame Gazelle asks the children what they would like to do when they grow up. She has a basket full of fun hats for them to choose from. The children are so excited to dress up.
Wow!
They run to the basket and each grab their items.
Madame Gazelle, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up,
Peppa says. Don't worry, Peppa. You have plenty of time to think about it, Madame Gazelle replies. You can use the costumes to help you decide. Rebecca Rabbit knows what she wants to be when she grows up. She wants to be a queen. Queens get to wear crowns and tell others what to do. Emily Elephant wants to be a teacher. Wonderful, says Madame Gazelle. Teachers are very important. What is it about being a teacher that you like the most, Emily?
Teachers get to be in charge,
Emily replies. I see, says Madame Gazelle.
I want to be a police officer when I grow up,
says Freddy Fox.
The police drive cars with flashing lights and sirens. Me too,
says Wendy Wolf. She is dressed as a sheriff. A sheriff is a kind of police officer who is in charge of all the other police officers. Thank you, Freddie and Wendy. What else do you like about being a police officer? Asked Madame Gazelle.
They tell others what to do,
replied Freddie and Wendy. Next it was Susie Sheep's turn to share.
I would like to be a doctor or a nurse,
says Susie Sheep. How lovely. Why do you think you would like that job, Susie? Asked Madame Gazelle.
Because they help someone who is sick to get better and they tell others what to do,
Susie Sheep says. Madame Gazelle explains to her students that jobs are about more than being in charge. Some jobs, like a doctor or a teacher, are about helping others. Some jobs are about creating something new, like a builder or an artist. Pedro Pony wants to be a superhero. Being a superhero is a very important job, Madame Gazelle says.
You have to run faster than a train, jump tall buildings, and I don't know if I want to do all those superhero things, but I want to tell bad guys what to do,
says Pedro Pony. On the way home from school, Peppa tells Mummy Pig about her day. So, tell me, what did you learn today? Mummy Pig asks.
Madame Gazelle asked us what we want to be when we grow up,
says Peppa. That sounds nice, said Mummy Pig.
Not really, Mummy. Everybody knows what they want to be, but I don't.
George, do you know what you want to be when you grow up? Mummy Pig asks.
Dinosaur!
Cheers, George.
You see,
says Peppa. Don't worry, Peppa. You have plenty of time to decide what you want to be, says Mummy Pig.
What do you do, Mummy?
asks Peppa. I work on my computer, Mummy Pig answers.
Do you get to tell others what to do?
Peppa asks. No, I don't, replies Mummy Pig.
Well, that's no good then,
says Peppa. Soon Daddy Pig comes home from work.
What is your job, Daddy?
asks Peppa. I could tell you, Peppa, but I think you'd find it a bit boring, replies Daddy Pig.
I wouldn't, Daddy. Please tell me, please,
says Peppa. Well, Peppa, I work in a built office and I help plan big important buildings, Daddy Pig explains. And I get to carry a briefcase and wear a suit.
Do you like your job, Daddy?
Peppa asks. I like it, but not everyone would, Daddy Pig explains. Everyone is different, Peppa. That night, Peppa is still thinking.
What can I do when I grow up?
asks Peppa. Think of something you like doing all the time, says Daddy Pig.
I like jumping up and down in muddy puddles,
Peppa says. Well, Peppa, there aren't many jobs with puddle jumping, Daddy Pig explains.
But I am very good at puddle jumping,
Peppa says. Yes, I suppose you are, Daddy Pig agrees.
When I grow up, I will show everyone in the world how to jump in muddy puddles.
That sounds like a very good idea, says Daddy Pig as he shuts off the light. Soon Peppa and George fall asleep to sweet dreams about dinosaurs and puddle jumping. The end. Peppa goes boating. Peppa and her family have come to the lake to go boating.
Boats, boats, get your boats here,
calls Miss Rabbit.
I've got canoes,
says Miss Rabbit. Says Daddy Pig. Paddling a canoe is hard work.
I've got sailing boats,
says Miss Rabbit. Daddy Pig isn't sure. Sailing a sailing boat is a bit tricky.
Those pedalos look nice and relaxing,
smiles Mummy Pig. Yes, agrees Daddy Pig. They've got a big paddle wheel to make them go. Daddy Pig, Mummy Pig, Peppa and George all climb onto a pedalo.
You have to pedal,
Miss Rabbit tells him.
Enjoy your boat trip.
Off we go, shouts Daddy Pig. Peppa and George giggle. It's like a bicycle on the water. Emily Elephant and her family arrive.
Hello, Miss Rabbit,
says Mr. Elephant.
We'd like a canoe, please.
Certainly, says Miss Rabbit. Ahoy there, Miss Rabbit. It's Danny Dog and his dad, Captain Dog. They want to go out in a sailing boat.
Aye, aye, Captain. Dad,
says Danny Dog.
We're sailing,
shouts Danny.
We're canoeing,
shouts Emily.
We're pedaling,
shouts Peppa. Poor Daddy Pig. Pedaling a pedalo is a lot harder than it looks. It is time to stop for lunch. Mummy Pig passes around the sandwiches.
Here's some bread for you, Mrs. Duck,
grins Peppa.
Bonk, bonk.
Mrs. Duck likes picnics. Everyone likes picnics. Miss Rabbit rings her bell.
Come in, boats 1, 2 and 3,
she calls up.
Your time is up. 1, 2 and 3,
says Peppa.
That's us.
Let's see who can get back first, says Mummy Pig. We'll have a race. Everyone goes as fast as they can. I'm not sure I can pedal much faster, puffs Daddy Pig. Captain Dog is lucky. His boat has an engine.
We win!
Cries Danny. Captain Dog cheers. I'm not a sailor anymore, he says, but I do love boating on the lake.
Yes, says Peppa. We all love boating on the lake.
The end.
Hi kids, did you have fun watching this video? Then like and subscribe for more.